And welcome back. And before the break, you were talking, Alex, about that we all make choices, and those choices have outcomes in our lives. And several years back in 2005 or six, the movie The Secret came, or The Law of Attraction and The Secret came out. And can you talk about, at that time, anybody that saw that movie is like, well, if you just like think positive thoughts, you can manifest whatever as is you want. And, everybody was on that whole kick about, oh God, I'm going to manifest millions of dollars and do all these great things. And it kind of completely fell flat for most people. So can you talk a little bit more about what that movie projected and why there was a disconnect?
Absolutely. And I think you're so right. That movie, for all the good that it did, it also did a lot of not good, in the sense that it started to give the law of attraction a bad rap, frankly. And it's because there were pieces missing. So you're absolutely right. If I decide that, I want that, amazing dream car. So I'm just going to think positive thoughts about it, and it's just going to appear in my driveway. Sure. No, that's not right?
It didn't happen for you?
No, it did not. And it won't for anybody else, right? No. So if you sit around eating bonbons all day, it's going to show up, okay? So there's two parts. There's the inner part and the outer part. And it is, yes, you start with being very clear on what you want. And when I say being very clear, I really mean that. So let's just take that example of wanting a new car. Well, wanting a new car is pretty dang vague, actually. So give it details. What type do you want? What model? What year? What color? I mean real details. If you want a new job, how long is your commute going to be? How much do you want to be paid? What position do you want? So you got to get really detailed about what you want and set your intention around that, right? So there is that inner part about having the vision and setting your intention around it. And then, yes, thinking positive thoughts around, I'm going to create this, I'm going to have this, okay? But the next thing is realizing that we do have these subconscious beliefs going on underneath the surface. So if I want a brand new Maserati and it's whatever they cost, I don't know, 100 grand or more. If subconsciously I don't think that I am worth that or that I deserve it, guess what? I'm not going to get it. So consciously, I'm attracting the Maserati. But subconsciously, I have these beliefs that I've probably been carrying around with me for I don't know how long, years, that, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve it. I'm not smart enough to have a car like that. What will other people think if I have a car like that? Those things basically override the conscious desire. And so it's getting in tune with that. So there's some reprogramming that has to be done with those subconscious beliefs. And that's something else that I cover in the book, right? So there's that piece. Then there's a third inner piece, which is allowing. Because we only allow ourselves to receive what we think we should have, right? So if we're not in a space of allowing, if we're not open to receiving, we're going to block things from coming in. Think about when, and women are very guilty of this, just accepting help with something. No, I got to do it all myself. I can't possibly have help. You're blocking the help from coming in. So it's being in that allowing space and also being detached from the outcome, right? Like, how is this thing going to come to you? What specifically, or how is it going to be delivered? That kind of thing. So there is this allowing piece. So that's kind of the, in a nutshell, obviously there's a little bit more to it, but in a nutshell, those are the inner pieces. But then there's the outer piece. You got to take action. You got to get off the couch and take action. So like what I said earlier, what is one thing you can do today that moves you towards your goal or your dream? If you want a new car, if you want a new job, you need to take action towards that too. It's not just going to arrive. And so, of course, there is sort of that process of what are the things I can do? What are the steps that I can take? How do I get closer to this? So as you can tell, there's a little bit more to it than just, I want it, I'm going to imagine it, I'm going to send positive vibes out there, and it's going to be delivered. No, it's a little bit more involved than just that.
If it was only that easy, huh?
Exactly. Well, if it was only that easy, we'd all be driving Maseratis and
That's
having our
right.
dream jobs and our dream relationships and everything else, right?
But actually, when you think about it, it is that easy. We just have to learn how to be in that space.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I think one of the biggest tripwires is the subconscious beliefs because, hey, they're in your subconscious. So guess what that means? You may not be aware of them. And very often those are kind of programmed in at an early age when we're kids, because I mean, that's what kids do. That's what we're meant to do. We absorb information. We absorb what we hear from our parents. We absorb what we see other role models doing. And, you know, I kind of like to talk about it in terms of your computer. So if you think of your computer, you use the desktop applications, you open Word or Pages, whatever you're using, and it works, and hey presto, everything is great. But to make all those applications work is the operating system. And I mean, unless you're a computer programmer, you don't know anything about that. You don't really think about it at all, but it has to be there to make everything else work. That's what your subconscious is like. It's like our operating system. And so in our subconscious, if we've sort of absorbed some of these, you know, some of the very common sort of subconscious limiting beliefs are, you know, I'm not good enough. Money is hard to come by. You have to work really hard to get money. There's not enough money for everyone. Money's a big one that people often hear from their parents or from other sources.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
I was just saying that.
That's the money doesn't grow on trees, right? That's a big one. But they're all in there. They're in that operating system. And so when we make these choices in our life, and sometimes when we don't realize we had a choice, we're operating from that place, that belief system that we have, that we've been walking around for a long time. So if we don't think we're worthy, if we don't think we're smart enough or good enough, then we may not pursue that dream job because we don't think we're good enough. We don't think we're qualified. You know, the negative chatter comes in too and kind of helps sort of cement in the belief, right? And so it is about identifying what those beliefs are and uncovering them. B, really questioning them and looking at them to say, where did this come from? Is it actually my belief? Or was it somebody else's that I absorbed along the way? And it doesn't need to be my belief anymore because it's not serving me. And if that's the case, then releasing it and replacing it with a new belief. And I have a whole process in the book that walks you through how to do just that, which for me, at least in my journey, was the pivotal point for me, like actually uncovering some of my beliefs, releasing them, and then reprogramming with new ones. That changed everything for me. And I think, you know, a lot of people feel the same way, that once they can really grab hold of that subconscious and learn how to control it, that starts to really open things up in a big way for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or even accessing the subconscious, because sometimes, frankly, we don't know really what's in there, you know, kind of sabotaging us from behind.
Do you really want to know what's in there?
Yes, I do. Roger, I do.
All right.
Don't
you do. Well, but that's a common fear though, right? I mean, and this is sometimes what keeps people stuck, is this idea that, oh my gosh, I've got to look inwards. I'm going to have to discover what's in there. That's scary, right? And I mean, the implicit idea is that if I look in there, then I have to make change too. And God forbid on change. I mean, it's the dreaded, you know, who wants change? Nobody wants change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are two parts of this that can be scary as you set out. And it can kind of keep you stuck in that place of, well, I'd rather just not know, you know, I'll just keep going along as things are, and hopefully something else will, you know, change for me, or something, you know, in my situation will change. But guess what? That doesn't happen. You know, if you want your life to change, if you want your situation to be different from what it is, it really is up to you. It's about you, and it's about the change you need to make. Yeah.
And I think it really does relate back to taking responsibility for yourself and the situation that you've created, the life that you've created. So many times as an astrologer, I hear from people who just want me to tell them how to solve their life problems, whether it's a relationship, their, you know, financial lives, etc. But they're really not prepared to take responsibility for how it's been created in the first place. And what I really liked about your book is that it's step by step. I mean, really, it was, I actually did a process and came up with some belief I would have never guessed was there.
Oh, great. Okay.
And
You want to share that with us, or you're going to keep that a secret?
I think I'll keep it a secret for right now. Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But it was a pattern that I had seen.
Yes.
But I didn't want to take responsibility for it because I kept wanting to blame the outer world for creating that for me.
Right.
And I think a lot of people get stuck in that. So I would suggest they go through this book step by step. But there's that word, I just said it, should. Tell us about that word.
Yes, the should, right?
Yeah.
So if you find yourself saying should, I should do this, I'm supposed to do that, I should be going here, I should be further ahead, blah, 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 blah. That should, start making note of it. Start having it be a little flag that pops up. Ooh, I just said should. Because whose should is that? Is it really your should? Or is it the should that, again, is sort of related to those subconscious beliefs? Is it someone else's, right? So again, you know, and I'm not blaming parents, by the way. I talk about all that in the book. This is not about blame.
Yes.
But a lot of it we do pick up when we're younger. So if we're sort of told that, you know, you got to have this sort of professional job and go be, you know, I don't know, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, then we may be walking around thinking, well, I really should go to college and study for that because I should become a lawyer. I should become a doctor. Is that your should? Maybe it's not. Maybe that's not what you actually want to do, but you're going along with it because you feel you should. And so anytime you catch yourself saying should, just take a moment to examine, is it really mine? Do I own that, or did it come from somewhere else? And if it came from somewhere else, is it serving me? Is it actually in alignment with who I am and what I want to do? Or is it about kind of shifting the perspective on that and saying, well, gee, what do I actually want to do instead of should do? What does that look like for me? And how different is that? So it's part of that whole process of becoming self-aware of what you say and think. Because again, you know, what you say and think, you start to create your reality with it. Okay. And we don't realize sometimes how powerful our words are, but they truly are. They have an impact. So yes, cautionary note on the word should.
It's amazing how often that word pops up. And even when I'm starting working with a client, I almost hear myself saying that to them. And I always am like, stop, that word is, you know, like it's a red flag that, you know, you're in somebody else's reality and not your own.
Exactly.
Well, I think we should take a break right now.
Okay.
And when we come back, I want to talk about our thoughts some more. So we'll be right back.